Coming up, the world television premiere of a touching music video about our fellow critters. If you have a pet, any sort of critter you love, we're about to make you smile. But first, about all the frowns we see lately. They're easy to spot on soreheads who refuse to mask, even as Dr. Fauci says, no, not yet. And if you're active on social media, you must notice how people who are telling us today is terrible, even worse than yesterday, are the same soreheads who spent the last 4 years telling us today is great, even better than yesterday. Even though measurably by any number of objective metrics, life is better now than it was a year ago. So why the long face? Let's ask Michael Harrison, the publisher of Talkers Magazine, the trade pub of talk radio and TV and podcasting. Michael himself is a talker, hosting the Michael Harrison Wrap on radio stations across the USA every weekend and wherever you get your podcasts. Michael, you and I have spoken about what you call the daily dance of affirmation, the way cable news channels and talk radio and publications pander, telling their consumers what research demonstrates they want to hear. The kind of stuff Kellyanne Conway probably wishes she had not called alternative facts, empirical evidence notwithstanding. Michael, are we as a people less informed now than we used to be?
Actually, we're more informed. It's just that we're fractured and we're not all informed about the same thing. And we don't have a default in our society, in our culture, in our nation, and even in the world as to what we all agree upon as being self-evident. Right back to, the Declaration of Independence, we hold these truths to be self-evident. That's a very important base upon which all civilizations and societies go forward, even if those truths are not necessarily truth. Maybe we learn that with new evidence, there's a new truth. Science operates that way. The whole purpose of science is to disprove the prevailing truths based upon the assumption that we don't know everything and we have a lot more to learn. Well, this goes through life. So I think that we're probably more informed than ever before. We certainly have our oracles, these smartphones that were sort of like what in the old days they'd call a crystal ball. And we're plugged into everything, but we're not necessarily plugged into the same things, and we're certainly not necessarily plugged into the truth.
Yeah, we are certainly more misinformed. And back to the mask, we're just now learning, because this is COVID-19, it's not COVID-1950. We're still learning about this disease. And the soreheads who are crabbing about the masks are saying, well, the story keeps changing. Well, we keep learning about COVID-19. And on Facebook, a talk radio host in North Dakota recently posted, we have herd immunity and open air and no more mask mandates. And the post seems to have been edited after a reply linked to data that North Dakota has the most confirmed COVID-19 cases per 100,000 population of all U.S. states. Michael, have we come to the point where, as Rudolph Giuliani put it, truth isn't truth?
I think we have. Some describe it as we're now in the post-truth world, or variations of that theme. And that it's very distressing for those who have a journalistic background, for those who have a love of education, and for those who just like to live in an honest society. This is a very, very disturbing trend that, we have alternate truths. And it comes down to a corollary to the daily dance of affirmation, meaning shine people on, tell them what they want to hear, and they'll be good customers. Don't disturb their apple cart. Don't make them unhappy. Is that we seek victory at the expense of truth. Not only do we want to scam people, but we want to win. We want to win, whether it's politics, whether it's sports, whether it's that argument at the Thanksgiving table with the crazy uncle. We want to win whatever game we're playing, whether we have money invested in it or just our ego and our pride. We want to win. And if that means cherry picking that fact that fits our narrative, censoring that fact which fits the other narrative and distorting statistics any way we can, well, we're going to do that because winning is what counts, not necessarily seeking truth. As a matter of fact, many people believe today that admitting to being wrong or seeking truth and changing your mind in the face of new evidence is a weakness, something to be avoided at all costs.
Well, about the censorship, when Donald Trump or any of his worshipers get banned from social media, they holler First Amendment, which protects us from the government censoring our speech, not private enterprise, which these free marketeers usually champion. If they're kicked off Twitter, why can't they just go join the MyPillow guy's new platform?
Well, they can. And the difference between the tenets of the First Amendment and the broader concept of free speech is something that many people misunderstand. And sometimes they misunderstand it on purpose, because I've heard people who know better employ that as an argument for their seeking victory at the expense of truth. The First Amendment to the Constitution of the United States guarantees that you will not be censored by the government for your political or artistic expression. It does not guarantee you a soapbox, and it doesn't guarantee that people are going to like what you say. It doesn't guarantee that they're not going to retaliate, because the right to shut you down outside of the government is actually a right granted to these people by the First Amendment. The First Amendment gives you the right to censor if it's your own private platform. Just like I can't force you or RT America to put me on today and say, well, it's my First Amendment rights, it's my freedom of speech. No, it's their freedom of speech. So this is an area that is often misunderstood and often abused because, as I said, a lot of people who do know better will say, freedom of speech is gone in this country. How could Twitter blow the president out? Well, Twitter has the right to. It's crazy.
Sure they do. We're speaking with Michael Harrison, who these days is the publisher of Talkers Magazine. But back when his hair was long in the early 70s, Michael was a DJ on FM in New York City, playing the wistful radio hit Back When My Hair Was Short by the band Gunhill Road, whose members eventually found day jobs, only to regroup 40 years later for the album Every 40 Years. And recently, Michael himself joined the band for a very special cause, animal welfare. Michael, congratulations on the new CD. It's a moving music video we're going to show in a minute. But first, tell us about the cause that you and Gunhill Road have put to music.
Well, I think the idea of respecting life, respecting all life. One of the lines in the song is, the light of life is in your eyes. I believe you are real. It's the right thing to do to advance the cause in an evolved society, of an evolved humanity. And I mean, the main issues these days are rights of not being abused by human to human kindness and lack of cruelty. But if we can start to think about all life in that regard and start to think about life as being sacred, we're going to treat each other a lot better along the way. So I think it's very important that we do that. I also believe that there's a difference between animal welfare and animal rights in terms of movements. And I think that we have to be very, very careful not to misunderstand the two. Animal rights is far more political, and it gets a lot of negative feedback because in some ways it's extreme, just like political extremes. Animal welfare is more understanding that we're imperfect and are shooting for a better relationship with life around us.
Well, just released, the new CD is What Year Is This? And among 13 songs are two versions of this song about animal welfare. One is sung and one is spoken, narrated by Michael Harrison. Here's Gunhill Road with Michael, I Know That You're Real.
I truly know you are real. The spark of life is in your eyes. I truly know you are real. We are drops in the same endless sea, branches on the tree. A new day will dawn if we just have the will. I believe in thou shalt not kill. I know you're real. I know you're real.
The album is What Year Is This by Gunhill Road, available on Amazon. We just showed you a clip, but you can watch this entire music video on YouTube, and I have pinned it to the top of my page at hollandcooke.com. Also on YouTube, search Gunhill Road. You're going to love their old song, Back When My Hair Was Short, which they reprised last year during the shutdown with a funny, touching, very relatable update called Back When We Used to Hug. And you will marvel at not only Michael's cameo, but the way that they assembled this, the way we have been living for over a year now. Everybody in the band was some different place, and they knit it all together online. Michael Harrison, Talkers.com, thank you for stepping into the big picture.